Greetings. So I'm doing a little bit of drawing on this page. Turn the right side up here. That's one of the characters. The story has an awful lot of side characters, and this is one of them. Let's see. Another page here that's in the process of being finished. This right here. I need to do a little bit in here. Oh, tidbits here and there. It's a comic book. I'm probably doing massive overkill on this. It should be just a comic book, but no, I gotta go through all this detail. It's almost a compulsion, an addiction to detail. You get lost in the detail. That way you're not obligated to finish anything. You can just have that dopamine hit of starting a new creation and building up a new creation out of thin air. And linger on all the details. You're not obligated to finish anything if you get lost in the details. So, and one of the details in the story is this cybernetic detail here. A lot of these characters have these goggles, and they're bald. That's just the baldness is mostly a fashion thing among these characters. The goggles are specific. In the story, the goggles indicate that they have been thrown out into space, into the vacuum of space, and have had their eyes permanently damaged. And that right there is the biggest detail of the story. Because as I slowly explain what's going on here, the details will become evident as I work on the story, work on the artwork. Is none of these characters suffer any kind of mortal consequence. They don't die. And it's something you see in comic books, the superhero comic books, this implied immortality. But it's also mixed with either superhuman healing properties or this invulnerability, which these characters, one of my neighbors must be mowing. None of these characters suffer from invulnerability, obviously with the damage done to this individual's neck here. And all of these characters can't be killed. They get thrown into space, they suffer the consequences of the vacuum, and then they're brought in, and then they heal, but there's still scar tissue, hence the eyes, the damage to the neck. And one of the big things about the story itself is that what are the consequences in civilization and in society? How many of the things that we deal with on a daily basis are solely based on the fact that it might end our lives? You know, our driving habits and our dietary habits. Everything in society, everything in culture, everything in religion, everything in the legal sense, everything in the political sense, how much of that is defined specifically on the limitations of life. And what would happen in civilization and culture and in the long evolution of human beings if the concept of mortality was completely erased. Obviously, you would still suffer pain, you'd suffer injury, but death itself would be gone. It's an interesting question. I mean, these characters here, they don't suffer death. They're not gods. They don't have lightning bolts coming out of their eyeballs unless they have robot eyes. I mean, obviously with the get up here. And there is the psychological trauma to these injuries. That what is it? The phantom leg, where the person loses a leg, but their mind is still convinced that there's a leg there, but it's not there, the phantom leg. So there's an awful lot of these psychological consequences to these injuries and how they adapt, considering the fact that they have survived an obviously mortal injury, but are not dead.